In a land soaked with the blood of the devoted, those who gave everything to carry the truth. No conflict in human history has witnessed this many casualties among truth-bearers. Under the full gaze of the world, so many heroes paid the ultimate price, their lives, and at the front lines of those brave hearts stood a beautiful Palestinian woman, a daughter of the land. Her name was Shireen Abu Akleh. Come with me. Let me tell you one of the most inspiring stories of sacrifice and devotion. Let me tell you the story of Shireen. Shireen Nasri Anton Abu Akleh was born in Jerusalem in 1971. Her family, rooted in the historic city of Bethlehem, enrolled her at the famous Rosary Sisters School in Jerusalem. She first studied architecture at the Jordan University of Science and Technology, but her heart was pulled toward journalism. She transferred her studies to journalism and media, and earned a bachelor's degree from Yarmouk University in Jordan in 1991. And so began the story of Shireen, a story of courage and truth in the face of danger. She returned immediately to Palestine and worked in several local media outlets, including UNRWA, the Voice of Palestine Radio, and later Monte Carlo Radio. After years of field experience and hard work in journalism, she found her most iconic destination, the place that would make her name known across the world, AlJazeera channel. There, a new chapter began, a chapter of bravery, inspiration, and relentless pursuit of the truth. She covered the most dangerous events, always holding her microphone, always wearing her press vest, always standing. She reported from the front lines during the Israeli invasion of Jenin in 2002, stood in the heart of the Second Intifada in Jerusalem, and even entered Shikma Israeli prison in 2005 to report on the suffering of Palestinian prisoners. History records her as the first Arab journalist to report from inside that prison, despite Israeli accusations and pressure that she was exposing sensitive security areas. Shireen was a fierce learner, always chasing the truth with professionalism. She learned Hebrew to understand and analyze the Israeli media herself, and mastered several other languages. Just before her death, she earned a diploma in digital media from Birzeit University in Palestine. Some may think the dangers journalists face in Gaza are new, but the reality is far deeper. The tragedies have stretched across decades, and Shireen's case was only a link in a long chain. What really moves me is this: what kind of courage drove her, knowing that death could come at any moment? What kind of burden did she carry in her heart to risk her life for the truth? Is the truth really worth dying for? Can it truly bring change? I'm sure these thoughts crossed her mind. After all, she was human, just like us. She had fears and hopes, doubt and faith. But I believe she was driven by something greater, a deep belief that a better tomorrow will come, even if she never lives to see it. She knew she was just one link in a long chain of sacrifice, and that someone had to continue, that someone had to set the example. Signs of the tragedy were already in the air: increased threats, constant accusations of exposing sensitive information, and relentless harassment by the Israeli army and settlers. But none of that stopped her. She became an icon. Her name was heard in every report about Palestine. She inspired a generation of young Palestinian journalists. People waited for her voice every day to know the truth. And so, the end came. To her killers, her voice had become too dangerous, and they believed the only way to stop it was to silence it. May 11th, 2022. While covering yet another Israeli raid on Jenin, a sniper's bullet struck her. A clean, precise shot from someone who knew exactly who he was aiming at. AlJazeera accused Israel of deliberately targeting her. She was rushed to Ibn Sina Hospital, where she was pronounced dead at the age of 51. According to the Times of London, she was shot by a sniper. The bullets kept raining down even after her death. Other journalists were injured. Even those who tried to rescue her were shot. The tragedy was immense. Outrage swept across Palestine. Protesters filled the streets of Jenin, Ramallah, and many cities. Israeli forces raided her home, seized Palestinian flags, and threatened to block her funeral from becoming a public event. But the Palestinian people refused to surrender. Despite violent clashes with Israeli police, the funeral procession continued through the streets of Jerusalem until she was laid to rest beside her family. The world reacted with shock and sorrow. Press organizations, international bodies, and human rights groups condemned the crime. AlJazeera submitted an official complaint to the International Criminal Court. Shireen left behind a legacy in every free heart. She became a symbol of independent journalism. The New York Times and NPR described her after her death as a household name among Palestinians. The BBC said she was widely known and admired by viewers and colleagues alike. Even Israeli media, Times of Israel, called her a veteran journalist, one of the most prominent Arab media figures. Finally, on May 31st, 2022, the United Nations named its annual training program for Palestinian journalists in her honor. UN spokesman Stefan Dujarric said, Shireen Abu Akleh's journalistic career was distinguished for over a quarter of a century. She was a pioneer for Arab women and a role model for journalists across the Middle East and the world. So tell me, can a voice truly defeat a bullet? Have you ever heard of someone who gave their life just to speak the truth? Do you think Shireen won her battle to deliver it? Share your thoughts with us.